Okay, good afternoon everyone again. Welcome back. So this is a continuation of the last session we had on PBS Professional. This one looks at one of the features of PBS Professional, which is called hooks. So we'll go into that in more detail. So in the last session, we had a look at the general PBS Professional. So now this is about the hooks, which is like a plug-in infrastructure. So, okay, so just let everyone say hello again. James from School of Physics, yeah. And Sue, also from School of Physics.
Hi,
and Richard,
School of Chemistry.
yeah. And Stephen from the ICT. So in the last session, we have already gone through the introduction by everyone. So I think I'll skip the introduction now, but I'll just make a summary that everyone here has got a very long and good experience in computing, computer science, networking, high-performance computing. So PBS Professional is a workload manager and scheduler, and so some are newer to this than before, but everyone has got a solid background in computing already. Okay, and next I'll just read the disclaimer. So this the video disclaimer. So this session and presentation is being recorded for assessment purposes for my course with Open Colleges. This recording will be live streamed through Open Colleges online learning platform to the Open Colleges learning management system. These sessions may be used by Open Colleges for compliance purposes or within a course to demonstrate examples of best practices. This video may be available publicly. This applies to the time this video is being streamed. After the recording, the video will be stored securely and will become the property of Open Colleges. If you do not wish to be recorded, you will need to leave the session now. Right? And a few of the other little things, like toilets, are just on this level on the left as you go out, and exit there are stairs as you go out from this door here. The meeting points is downstairs in the front of the building. And in terms of OHS and WHS policies, so we have checked that all of the equipments are electrically certified and safe, and there's no wires running across the floor to trip anyone. So yeah, so okay, let's begin. Okay, so we are looking at the session plan here. So roughly about what we are going to discuss about this session. So I think the first 2 points have been covered, the introduction disclaimer, the individual experience and so on. But as before, we will draw in a lot of your experience in this discussion group here. So it'll be like a group discussion format. So it will not be a seminar or just a straight presentation kind. So your experience will come in from the things that you have learned, which is similar to what I'm presenting, or maybe you have got some new user requirements from your colleagues or the users that you deal with. So then we can have a robust discussion. And so I'll be at the same time I'll be presenting the contents as we go through the discussion. All right, a few of the things that we'll be discussing following on from our general PBS session before. So the main thing is about PBS hooks and the events. So the events are very critical to understand, to operate the hooks properly. And then we'll talk about the different kinds of hook events and when and where to use it, and also how to create a hook. So that's an important bit. And also to actually write the code, the logic for the hooks itself using the Python programming language. Okay, so I'll just briefly give you a few, maybe 30 seconds to 1 minute to just browse through this. So I've just put a slide up showing the different uses for hooks. So maybe you can think of your own use cases or your own situation. Something might click there. Yeah. So essentially, the hooks are plugins. Think of plugins as enhancing the capability of software. So they're written in Python. The idea is that although PBS Professional can do many things, it's got many features, there are always features that it hasn't incorporated into the main software yet. So this is where hooks come in. So different customers may have different needs. They can implement their requirements using the hooks. So as you see there, there's a long list of examples. Let me just move on to another item. So on this slide here, you see the different groups of hooks. Okay, so yeah, so because this may be new to you, so I'll go through a bit more details first, and then we proceed with the more group discussion, more interactive style of discussion. So the hooks are events based. So when you specify a hook, you have to determine which event class that hook is going to be. Okay, the events meaning that when you submit a job, the job has a life cycle. Okay, from submission, the job goes to the server, PBS server, and then the server then waits for the scheduler to tell it which node is free enough to launch the job. And once the job is run, the job actually runs on a compute node, which is different server, and then that is another life cycle of that. So on the left-hand side, you see the pre-execution hooks. So that is from the time of submission to before the hooks is being run on a compute node. On the right-hand side, you see the execution hooks. So this means that the hook has just has just been given to a compute node to run. So from the time it arrives at the compute node to the time it finishes the job, those hooks are available, the execution hooks. Okay, and then there's a class of hooks which are outside of the life cycle of the job. So these are the periodic hook which can execute just like a cron job. So it executes at the interval that you choose. There's a special hook for a reservation called rev sub, and then there's also a provisioning hook. So we won't cover that because those are less frequently used. So we talk more about the pre-execution and the execution hook. So from what you see there, the yellow boxes, so those are the event types of the hooks. On the blue boxes, those are the labels labeling the different parts of the job cycle. So I'll open up for any comments so far.
So hooks, so on this sheet, as I understand, hooks are within the PBS Pro. These hooks are programs within the PBS Pro.
It is correct? It is programs. That's correct. It is within the job's life cycle of PBS.
No, see that the Q job is that a hook is a piece of program like a Q job.
Oh, I see. Let me explain that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Q job is the event name, same as modify job and move job and run job. So Q job corresponds to the event when a user types Q sub job script enter.
Yes.
So when he presses enter, that event is called a Q job event.
Yes.
So when that happens, any hook that you have written, and then you classify your hook as a Q job hook, you can write as many hooks as you want to on the system. So let's say you've written 3 hooks, and all of them are Q job hooks. So you decide to say that this hook is a Q job hook. When you do that, when you import those 3 Q job hooks, and when the user clicks enter, those 3 Q job hooks, your Q job hooks, will execute. It's your code, your logic, your program.
Yes.
Those hooks.
Yes.
They will execute at the moment of the Q job event, which is when the user press Q sub job script enter. Okay, we'll see some examples of that.
So they're just Python modules.
Python, they are Python code. So the hooks itself is written by the customer. Usually it's the system administrator or someone at that level. At least only the system administrator can create and import the hook. So he could have gotten someone else to write the hook logic for him in Python, but the code itself, the hook is a Python code, which the sysadmin has the right to import it to the system. Once imported the system, PBS knows that this is the hook that is active that I need to run the code at a certain event.
Yeah,
So
but,
if
but it's actually just imported a Python, hunk of Python into the scheduler or whatever.
into the server.
Yeah, because that's when you say it had to be Python, then the
Yes.
service it's being used.
Yes, so it uses its own version of Python 2.5.
Yeah, because otherwise no point writing in C because it's going to work, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, in this example, is that this hook or this piece of program replaces
No,
like
it doesn't
Q
replace.
sub, blah, blah, blah.
Actually, no, it doesn't replace QSub. So QSub is the PBS command to submit your job to the PBS server.
Correct.
At that point of submission,
Yeah.
the event is recognized by the server as a QJob event.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then when that event happens, PBS will look through its list of hooks already inside the system.
Yes.
So if you write 3 hooks and import it to the system, PBS will find your hooks. You'll get a list of your hooks. It will run them. So you can say, this example, I want all users on my cluster to specify memory. Okay, so in your logic, I'll show you the actual code later.
Yeah, I think if you can give us
I'll show you the code. Yeah. So this use case is I want to make all users request memory for the job. So then, when you write the Python code, if memory is specified, then accept, else reject job. Okay, so that is your little Python code. Could be 4 lines or something.
For the admin, yes, for the
the admin will write that. Yeah, so that is your Python code, the admin's Python code. He imports it to the system. So now that hook is part of the system, you don't have to do anything else, right? It's active. You can disable it to be inactive, but make it active. And then when any user at all submits a job, PBS will get your code, run your code, okay? Because your code logic says if memory specified, pass, if not, reject. So then it will look at the code which has just submitted, whether that user has given memory or not. Yeah, so and then it decides whether if didn't give memory, reject the code, reject the job straight away.
Right.
Else accept the job.
Right.
And then you'll run through your next QJob hook because this is the same event. There's only the QSub event so far. So you've got 3 QJob hooks. You'll run through all your QJob hooks, not just one, all. You can have 50 or 100 hooks.
There's no order on them, is it?
There is order, so which you can define. So by default, I think it's order whatever, 1 or 10 or 100. But you can choose to define your order. It's an integer value. So for some hooks, we don't care which order. Like you can check for memory. A second hook check for wall time. Third check for groups, whether it's correct group or not based on username. These are independent, don't have to be in order. Whereas other things will need to be in order. Then you specify the order. So it's up to you. So that's basically how. So I've explained with an example of the QJob type event hook.
Yeah.
Then there's modify hook. So modify hook, PBS, there's a command called QAlter. QAlter means alter your resources, right? Yeah. So that is when that event comes in.
Can one piece of Python belong to work on more than one event? Because I can imagine you're using similar logic for the modified job as you would for QJob.
Yeah, I guess so, because you can write the same piece of code, the Python code. PBS doesn't check what's inside your code. Yeah. You can re-import it, pass it as a different event. Yeah, so it will work. Yeah.
But see, these tasks that you give us as examples, as a hooks, okay?
Yes.
But actually, I'm thinking about the hook. Each is also doing these jobs, so they are not regarded as hooks, but these tasks are part
sorry,
of.
you mean checking the memory and all that?
Not checking memory, but modify, for example, modify jobs.
Right.
Say or QAlter.
QAlter, yeah.
If that hook performs this task.
No, it doesn't perform the queue alter. It doesn't.
Right.
So in PBS, you use queue alter
Yeah.
to change your resources.
Yes.
Maybe you queue alter minus L wall time equals
Yes,
1
yes.
hour now instead of 30
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah.
Okay, so that queue alter is still queue alter.
Yes.
But that event, when the user type queue alter wall time equals new
Yes.
number,
Yeah.
enter, when I press enter,
Yes.
PBS receives that command.
Yeah.
That event
Yeah.
is called the modified job event.
Yes.
And in that event,
Yeah.
you can write a hook that says, print hello, I'm changing
Okay.
alter.
You add something.
So it prints out the hello if you want to print hello.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you can say,
Okay.
check user. If user belongs to group chemistry, then pass.
Okay.
Else reject. So it doesn't alter. It just lets you do alternative
Something
logic.
Additional
logic.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can
Alright.
decide who can alter the
Okay.
job. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But from user's point of view,
They don't see
how can we
this.
how can we make our own? Can we
Users
make
cannot.
our own hooks?
No, users definitely not,
no.
because
Okay.
it is so powerful.
Oh,
Users
okay.
can do anything to destroy it.
Okay. For admin, actually,
Admin only.
hooks.
Admin.
Okay.
Because
are tools for admin.
yeah,
Okay.
because it's for admin to decide how the cluster needs to be used.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
You tie your business rules, if you like.
Yeah.
In some ways, you do triggers and databases.
Okay. All right. Additional tasks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And then let's move to the next event called move job. Can anyone guess?
Has to be Python because for Torch, I think any script, any command script will do.
I don't think Top has got hooks.
Yeah, it
Really?
is called prologue and epilogue.
Oh no, those are not hooks. We also got prologue and epilogue. So talk came from us. No. So talk came from us. We have prologue and epilogue, but then we also have the new version of prologue called X job prologue and X job epilogue. So these are the recommended new way.
Execute job, prologue and prologue, they do the similar functions.
Very similar. So this one. So think of the events that you want to happen within the prologue stage or within the epilogue stage. Then you write it in those. You write your hook and then call it those event kind of hooks. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So for the next one, move job hook. Can anyone guess what's the PBS command when that activates?
Q.
Yeah, that's right. Q. So when the user says Q move this job, enter, then that event
I don't know this command. Q move.
I don't know.
Q move
Q move is to move a job to a different queue.
No,
to different
queue.
Different queue.
queue.
Change queue.
Change queue.
Can you move to different node and run?
No, I think the schedule decides on the node. Yeah. So you can choose nodes. Good question actually. You can choose nodes by having the host key value in your queue sub. So like I'm not sure whether it's minus L or just in the select, but select, right?
Yeah.
Yes, like so host equals and give it a host name. And then we'll try to target that node when it is free, otherwise it will just wait. Yeah.
But this is the command, the PBS Pro command.
Yeah, the Q move is a PBS command, but the other one I was telling Richard, if he wants to move the job to a different, if he wants it to run on a fixed node, a certain node, then you put it in the select statement.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so that's a separate.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the same. You define the node name.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the.
Okay. How and then run job. Run job is just before the job actually gets submitted, sent to the mom.
Yeah.
Okay. So this when so scheduler tells the PBS server that this nodes and this nodes have got so much free resource, and PBS say, okay, I'm going to send it there now. So at the point of just before it sends, you can run a run job hook. Okay. So yep. Let's go to the execution part of the hook. So you can see again the life cycle. So the mom or the compute node gets the job, and then if you have some logic that you want to run just at that point, you make it into a exact job begin hook.
That's when you could fiddle with these SH access, couldn't you?
Yeah, they can reject them. Yeah. And similar thing in prologue. So those two events, begin and prologue, are very close together. So I guess you can have it on either one. And then there's a preterm, which is before it terminates, then it runs job. Say if you want to terminate your job and then you want to do some cleanup, maybe delete files from a temp directory or something. So you can have that logic inside the hook and classify it as exec job preterm.
So that's that normal
Um,
termination.
With mom kills, it's
Mom
something like
kills.
we exceeded one of the
yeah,
resource requests.
yeah. So that wouldn't be
Yeah.
normal. Yeah.
So the other
Otherwise,
so this is that when it runs successfully.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's right. That's good. And then, so after the job has run, then you can do the epilogue logic. And then the job is cleaned up, and then you can do the exec job end. So that there's a fine difference between the last few events when things get cleaned up. Sometimes you want to run something before it gets cleaned up, sometimes you run after it gets cleaned up. So we have that capability. So the different types of hooks, when we have the hooks initially, we didn't have all these events here. So some of the new ones are added in later. So for each new version, maybe there's been some request from the customer. So we
Nice.
improve the capability by giving more.
Most sites only have very few hooks, don't they?
NCI has a bunch of hooks. Lots and lots of hooks. So the logic you say that ANU used to have their own PBS. So a number of them are implemented using hooks.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. So bear in mind also that go
The
ahead.
greenfield installation presumably only have a handful.
No hooks.
Yeah,
No hooks at all. Yeah. Unless it's a Cray system. It's a Cray computer. Because they need something special to be done, so they have a hook there already, so pre-built into the Cray branch. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? No? Okay. All right, just some words describing those different hooks. I'll skip through them. So job change. Okay, maybe this one will show you the commands there too. So just now we discussed about QAlter, modify hook. So firstly is a Q job for the Q sub command, and then the Q move command has got the move job event, and then for the run job, it's a hold and release of the job changes before job is sent to the mom. So it affects when the job is held and released. So you can use it to set jobs project, change the time PBS job is allowed to begin execution. Or you can change the output and error path as well. You can set some of the resource list members. The resource list, by the way, this is important when you're doing debugging for your users. So the resource that he puts into the Q subline or in his job script, those will be stated as the resource underscore list. Okay. If you do a qstat minus xf, there's a resource list and there's a resource assigned and there's resource available. Okay, so resource list is what they ask for. And then, so this one shows the different execution kind of hooks. So more details on when this happened. Yes, yeah. And so the preterm execute on all the mobs allocated to do that job. So if you have a parallel like MPI job, so it'll execute on all the mobs, not just the mother superior, not just the main mob. Okay. So you can use it to change a few things. You can change execution time, the whole types, the resources used, to kill the job.
Also, that's the process running on one node, or job running on one node can tell just before it finishes. It can, before it finishes, it can tell the other ones that are still running.
Yeah, if it's a parallel job. Yeah.
Okay.
So that all comes back to the in the last session previously I mentioned the MPI needs to be tightly integrated. So in that case, the MPI job usually has start from 1, the rank 0, and then it spawns all the children, at some point in the code. So the first node it lands on, the first mom or computer, is called the mother superior. So that one should know about what's happening on all the other moms as well. So
And then that hook can actually communicate that the exit job return.
yeah, so if it needs to be when it's killed, so that one will, at that point of being killed, it will execute that logic to all of them. Yeah.
All of them, okay.
Yeah, so on all the moms. Yeah.
Okay, so one job or process dies, then all the other ones can be.
They do have communication back to the server, but this would be during execution. So I think it would be more likely the mother superior. So I'm not 100% sure, but it's most likely the mother superior in charge of communicating between the sister nodes. Yeah.
And all these hooks are essentially when you install them, it's global, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So you wouldn't want to be fiddling around with it on a production system.
Correct, unless you want them to apply in the whole system.
Yeah, but if you were developing that hook, you'd probably do it
on another system. Yes, of course. Yeah. Unless you specify in the hook logic to act on certain nodes or something, but that's dangerous because if the logic is flawed, then it affects everything else. Yeah.
So you can't type down one Q or anything like that. Well, obviously you can't because it manages above the Q.
Yeah, correct. That's right. You can always check for a Q, but again, that's in the logic. So, yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Maybe with some examples. Yeah. What is the other types? Epilogue hook. Strategy of degree. Okay. And then these are the non-sort of job flow related hooks. Okay, now we see some examples on actually the way to create the hooks and import them. Okay, so as before, a lot of commands can be done using QMGR. So this is one of them. So you create the hook, give it a hook name, whatever you want to call it, and then you need to specify the event. So this is how you do it. So you choose whether this hook is a Q job hook or a move job hook and so forth. And then you need to import the hook in the system. So using the command import hook, and then this one you just type this. It's always application X Python. We haven't got other things here. Encoding, we choose either of this. I don't think it matters much. I just use defaults. And then the path of your code. So this you can put in your home directory wherever you want. It doesn't matter. So when it gets this import statement, it will take your source code. It will put it into the server_pref directory. Okay, so now you've got two copies. The server has got its own copy of your code. So whatever you do to your source code in your /home directory doesn't affect the server hook.
So those greater than, lesser than symbols are actually not there. So it's not XML.
It's not redirection. It's not XML. It's just a placeholder for variable name.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not really
Okay. All right. Right. And And the other thing is, so some people know that the hook lives in the server pref, so they want to change the hook, so they edit directly the server pref. That's not recommended. Highly not recommended. So edit your own hook and re-import your own code into the server. So don't edit the server pref Python, which is a copy of your hook. Yep, use Q manager for this.
When you do the import, does it do a syntax check by running Python over?
Let me see. It does, I think. Yeah, it does. It'll fail to import because I've got a few fails before.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then just check the code. Yeah.
Is there any way to remove a hook that's misbehaving?
Yeah, there's a switch. So you see, like event is a key value pair. There's also a switch called enable, a key value enable equals true or false.
Right.
So you can disable hook. So you can import it there, sit there on the system, and not active. Not
Okay,
used.
good. Or
Yeah.
if it did something wrong,
Yeah.
disable it.
Yeah.
Just bring it.
Exactly.
For cheating, whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is one example. So the idea is to define hook attributes and import and system some tools. So okay. Okay, I think this is a very simple example. Okay, so it just uses the hook to check if you're submitting an interactive job or not. So I think it's more interesting if we find the source code and look through it. No, this is not the source code, so don't worry. This one is just to show you what you can. Yeah, it's just base64 encoding. So these are treated like QMGR commands. So in fact, you can run it as QMGR command. So you create hook and the name of the hook, and then you set hook. So syntax is always like this: set hook name, and then you set the properties or the key value pairs here. So you got the type is always set, so don't bother with the type. Enable equals true or false if you disable. Events, you choose your own events. User, don't bother. This is always the same. Type and user, don't change that. Alarm, you choose whatever number, and this is the order that comes in. So someone has imported this hook already, and this is just showing the base64 encoding. I think the result is this is a printout. So when you do QMGR minus C, and then the quotes print hook and a hook name, it will create all this for you. So this is also one way to back up your stuff, which is ask QMGR to print the stuff and redirect it to a file. And then later, when you want to transfer this to somewhere else or something, you just put QMGR, the redirection input, and then just suck in the text file.
Is there a way to see what hooks are enabled in the system?
Yes, so you just do LH, so list hook and hook name.
So do you need to do
QMGR, correct. And then with that list hook, you won't see all this.
So you type what you type?
List hooks. So QMGR minus C.
List hooks
or L space H.
Yeah.
And then if you just want to see all the hooks, that's it. So press enter.
Right.
Otherwise, you can name the hook.
I'm unauthorized.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because they're not site.
So,
okay. So you can't do this.
Yeah.
So as before, only site administrators can do that hook. So yeah. And okay, let's see another example here. Okay, so this one is just trying to show you how you would test that hook which you have written in the last example. Okay. Yeah, so just setting up to watch the queue stat, and then submit a job that sleeps, and then submit the interactive job and see what happens to it. So just like a stepping through example. Okay, this is the very basic code for a hook. This is it, very basic. So the thing is, you always have to import PBS because PBS will have all the logic, the PBS objects related to the hook that you may want to use. Unless you just want to print hello, then you don't need that. So, but in most cases you do. So after importing PBS, then you can access to the job itself. So PBS.event.job is the job is an object specifically for your job, the job that user just submitted. Okay, so if it is interactive, true or false. So if it is, then so the queue put it into interactive queue. So fail to move. So if there's any kind of failure, then it means you can't move it to interactive queue. So it's trying to move it to the interactive queue. If the queue call interactive_queue. Because the queue has different names, you see. So if the user submits a job queue sub -I, make it go under this interactive queue. Otherwise, it'll be the default. So can anyone tell me what is the default queue? So default queue, what's the name of the default queue?
Default queue.
Work queue.
Oh,
Work queue.
By default, you mean
By default.
with the PBS core.
Exactly. Exactly. Is talk something different?
Work?
But yeah, work queue.
Work
Normally,
queue.
Work
if you
queue.
don't specify the queue, then it will go into default.
Yeah. That's right. So the default queue is work queue. Is it same with talk or is it different?
Talk, you define the
Edge.
queue
You can
default.
define the default
Is it? Oh, okay.
in
Okay.
with using the
Let me just cancel this. Okay. Yeah.
So it keys on where a job is. It's just really, in this case, it looks like Python objects. You just transfer it, assigning the queue object for that whatever job is running. That interactive queue object.
You define the queue code.
Well, it's really simple, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Got it. You got it.
Now, the other thing there is if you wanted to access some of this information
Yeah.
but without the context of what,
This is
Right.
can you use the PBS Python objects and files to write your own stuff to like print out the
To clear your own stuff.
It's like, you write a Python script with an import PBS somewhere.
Yeah. If that is the case,
You have a source.
maybe it doesn't get tied into the events.
No,
You want to
no.
do it in any event, right? In any case, right? Yeah.
Any user read.
So like maybe you want to read some system level stats
Yeah.
or something like that,
You can
right?
re-implement stuff like QStat.
Yeah. Actually, I haven't tried. Maybe you can. I haven't
Because
tried.
we've actually got some code that was written in C that does something like that. It's impenetrable trying to work out what it does.
Okay. Is that code in C to work with talk or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Give it a try.
Yeah, but that's really simple. It's really easy to understand because you can essentially just decide it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess that's why they choose Python.
Job, a rejob.
Yeah, or single node.
There's a whole hierarchy of objects in the previous world that you can grab. So again, the manual administration manual is a place to go to. But I must admit, that chapter on hooks is a very large chapter.
Although I'd say that most sites that haven't got a long history, they probably don't have a lot of books.
Yeah, correct. So, yeah. So so you wasn't able to check because of the
I don't have that.
So from memory, do you know if the system uses hooks?
Yeah, absolutely does. 100%. I don't know what they are, but I know what has them.
Okay. Okay, so Python. So I think I'll skip through this set of slides because this just to do with the Python language. So now we go to the next one here. I think this should have more examples. Let's skip to some. Okay, so it explains to you the different sections. It's two basics. Okay, now it talks about the objects itself. So the event class. So it has the job inside. So it's very difficult to get access to the PBS.event, and sometimes you may want the server. So maybe talking about server stats. So this is where you go. Yeah. Okay, some more snippets. Not the full code, but you can see the snippets of code. Okay, let's see what's this trying to do. So return the job associate. Yep. So the job here just specifically to that job of the life cycle of the job. Setting job attributes. You can set settable attributes for a job. So not all attributes are settable. So again, in the manual, it'll have a list of which attributes are settable or not. If they're settable, then you can change it through the hook. So typically like this, in job, an attribute, and you give it the value, the new value. So in this example, they want to change the priority to 100 for whatever reason, whatever business logic. You can specify the mail users, or you can, like just now, change the queue to interactive queue, or you can set the project to none. So it's all up to you. So you can even put default projects for some users. Maybe look at a username and then find the groups and then find what their allowed project names or default project names. So this is another example. So when it flows through the whole logic, the hook logic, usually when there's nothing wrong, you just put a pass there so that the hook gets passed. That means then the control will transfer back into PBS. PBS will do its normal thing, trying to submit the job. And of course, one way to debug is you can write log messages to the logs, the server log, mom log, and then you can see what went wrong with the hook. Okay, so this is just a step-by-step. Very simple, basically. So it can be as complex as you want it to be. So here, this example here shows you of how to write a message to the log. So you can specify the type of the log and then the message itself. So this is typical Python syntax in writing out the file. And this, okay. So there's more explanations, but I'll try to find some more examples. Okay, here's another one. I think this is the same one. The same one with a bit of extra logic here. So just now we saw this. So make the job into, or put the job into the interactive queue, or if it is not interactive, set the queue name. So queue name looks like it's a variable here. So then if queue name is not equals to the work queue, so the understanding is that work queue is the default queue of PBS. So if a user submits a job and it is not a -i, and then it will check whether the name is work queue or not. And if it's not in the work queue, you put it into the work queue. Oh, one other comment. PBS also allow you to change the default queue. Just that when you install it, it's the work queue as the default. We can create some other queues and change the defaults.
So you wouldn't want to use work queue as a name. It's a literal throw out all the stuff, would you?
Yeah, that's right. It could be something else. Yeah. Okay. References. And then here's some examples of log messages. Yeah. Okay, so I think we have covered the basics of hooks today. So there's a lot more on hooks. That yeah, as mentioned, as Administrator's Guide, Chapter 6, the hooks chapter, has got a whole lot of information there. Yeah. And I think we are just
Some emails
just contribute time. Yeah,
you
that's
probably
right.
don't want to fiddle with too much.
Correct. All right, so that takes us to the end of the session. So thank you, everyone.
Okay.